Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we meet again to continue the study of Surah Taubah. Let's start off the intentions for seeking knowledge and teaching. I intend to seek knowledge and to teach to benefit myself and to benefit others, to remind myself and to remind others, to profit myself and to profit others, to urge adherence to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to invite to guidance and to guide to that which is good, seeking the face of Allah, His pleasure, His closeness, and His reward, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Continue on with the Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Let's continue with our dua. اللهم نور بالقرآن بصري واشرح به صدري وأطلق به لساني واستعمل به بدني وقوي به جناني وأسرع به فهمي بحولك وقوتك فإنه لا حول ولا قوة إلا بك يا أرحم الراحمين والصلاة على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين بفضل سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. الحمد لله. We continue with Surah Taubah. In the last lesson, we did 67 to 71. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The hypocrite man and woman are all alike. They enjoin evil and forbid good and are stingy. They have forsaken Allah, so He forsook them. Surely they are the transgressors. So these are the people who are hypocrites, right? They encourage people to do evil and they stop people from doing good. They are very stingy with their money. And they leave Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah left them. They are the transgressors. Allah promised the hypocrites, men and women, and the disbelievers the fire of hell. So these people will enter. It is enough for them. It is good enough for them. Hell is for them. And Allah has cursed them and they shall have lasting punishment. It's a terrible state to be under the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those before us were stronger in power and was richer and have children. They enjoyed their share. Those before them, not us, and them were stronger in power and was richer and have children. So they are very powerful. They enjoyed their share. Thus, you enjoyed your share as they enjoyed theirs. So this is the reality. Allah is reminding people of various generations. Life continues. There are those before was stronger and more powerful. They enjoyed their share. Everybody has a part to enjoy in their lives. We converse in vain as they say. They converse in vain as they did. They did too. You converse in vain. Right? They waste their time talking, doing nonsense, wasting of time. Right? So they are just not benefiting their life. They did that, and you also did that. These their works are null in this world and the hereafter, and they who are the losers. So those who just squander whatever is given to them, they had good time and they just waste their time talking nonsense, doing nonsense and wasting time, then they are the losers because their works, there is nothing that is of any good, any value in their life. And so they have nothing to stand up for them in the next world, so they will be losers. Have you not heard the news of Noah and Samud? The people of Ibrahim, the dwellers of Madian, and the overthrown cities came to them. Have you not heard the news? Is a question there. Actually, have you not heard the news? So Allah reminds them of the people that have gone past, those who are much, much more powerful, stronger than them, from Nabi Nuh alayhi salam, the Ad, the powerful people, strong people, the Thamud. These are the people of Nabi Saleh alayhi salam. All were destroyed. People of Ibrahim, the dwellers of Madian, that is the people of Nabi Shu'aib, and the overthrown cities. These are the people of Lut. The cities are overthrown, they are turned upside down because of their upside down nature. The messengers came to them with clear arguments. Allah did not wrong them, but they wronged themselves. They went against the message of the messengers, and so they wronged themselves. Believing men and women, they are guardians of each other. They enjoy good, so that we are friends of each other. We encourage good, and we forbid evil. We establish salat and pay zakat and obey Allah and His Messenger. So that's important. We need to enjoin good and forbid evil, and we need to establish salat and pay zakat and obey Allah and His Messenger. Allah will show mercy to them. Surely Allah is mighty and wise. Allah will show mercy because they obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mighty. He can punish people as and when He wants to punish them. But He is wise. He knows when and how and who to punish. He knows those who are obedient. He will not punish them despite His might. I continue. Wa'adallahul mu'minina. Wa'ad is promise. And this is fi'il madi, past tense, and Allah is the one who promised. Promised Allah the believers. Mu'minin, the male believers. Wal mu'minat, and the female believers. Now, when we have mu'minin and mu'minat, and mu'minin will cover the male and the mu'minat will cover the female. But sometimes we only have mu'minin where it covers both men and women. All right. Jannat, gardens. This is all plural. Right, they promise, Allah promised, so this is mu'minin, this is in a nasab state, because the other one who Allah promised them. Mu'minat also nasab state, right? Promise them what? Jannat. Jannat is being promised, so Jannat also in its nasab state. Tajri, jariyah is to flow, that you have amal jariyah, the amal that flows on even after you have passed on. The ta is it, right? It referring to the gardens. It flows min tahatiha, flowing. Sorry, no, so the ta doesn't refer to the garden. Ta refers to the anhar, the rivers. The anhar, so you have gardens. Tahatiha min, sorry, tajri, flowing, referring to the anhar here, the rivers, because this is in its dhammah. This is rafa state. Right? This is a subject that flows. So min tahatihal, from below them. The them here refers to the jannat. So jannat is considered, it's a plural, but considered as a single female entity. So that's why we have an ha here. Min is from tahati. So because min is not tahata, but tahati, because min is huruf jar. So it becomes tahati, ha refers to the gardens. Anhar, so the rivers are flowing from below the gardens. Khalidina, this is fi'il ism. Sorry, this is ism, not fi'il. This is ism, and continuously in a state of staying, abiding, abiders, abiders fiha, in them, referring to the jannats. وعد الله المؤمنين والمؤمنات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها ومساكن. Masakin doesn't all the time means poor people. It also has the meaning of houses. And from the word sakana, because we are at peace, in tranquility in our dwellings. Masakina, and dwellings, this is plural. Tayyibah, good. Tayyibatan, describing the housing, right? They are promised. This is the things that are promised. They are promised good housing, good dwellings. And so this is nasab. These are the things promised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fi jannati adn, fi in jannat gardens. Off. This is an off structure because jannat doesn't have a tanwin. And adnin is in its jar state. Gardens of everlasting. Adn. Waradwanun and pleasure. Wa is and Waradwan is great pleasure. Min Allah, from Allah. Min is sort of jar. So Allah is in its jar state. Akbaru, greater. And pleasure from Allah is greater. Dhalika, that huwa it. Fawzul azim, the grand achievement. Huwa it, Fawzul azim is descriptive. Fawzul azim. Allah has promised the believing man and the believing woman gardens beneath which rivers flow to abide in them, and goodly dwellings and gardens of perpetual abode. And best of all is Allah's good pleasure, goodly pleasure, that is the grand achievement. All right, let's recite again. وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ. So I reminded that Allah promises. Before this, we had a verse which mentions about the various acts of the believers, right? Those who enjoy good and forbid evil, those who salat, those who give zakat, those who obey Allah and His Messenger, right? So these are the people who are the believers. Allah loved them. Wa'adallahu, and Allah promised the believers, men and women. Sometimes Allah only put men alone, but when Allah wants to emphasize so that the woman doesn't feel so left out, Allah actually put mu'minun, mu'minat, jannat, gardens. Allah gives us gardens, and jannat is a special kind of garden which is so luxuriant in its foliage, right? From the word janana. Jannat. Jannat means it's covered, there's no bare ground, all covered with beautiful plants. Tajri min tahatiha al-anhar, and flowing from below it. So there are gardens on top, then the waters, the rivers flow from it as if there's a waterfall, and you are at the top of the waterfall. Khalidina fiha, they're gonna be abiders in it, abiders in Jannat. This beautiful reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the promise of Allah to the mu'minin. Here we see mu'minin is an ism. Mu'minat also ism, those who are constantly in a state of belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are believers at all times. Allah describes the joys and eternal delight He has prepared for the believers, men and women. The gardens have rivers flowing below them. وَمَسَاكِنَ طَيِّبَاتً فِي جَنَّاتِ عَدْنٍ. And they're going to have beautiful, good houses. Not only are they in gardens, but the gardens will be blessed with beautiful houses and isn't it palaces, and right in Jannat Aden. This is the heaven, the Jannat, garden of eternity. And this Jannat here is the heavens of eternal heavens, everlasting heavens. Mentions built beautifully in good surroundings. In the two Sahihs, it is recorded that Abu Musa Abdullah bin Qais al-Ash'ari said that Rasulullah said, Jannatani min dhahabin aniyatuhuma wa ma fihima wa jannatani min fiddatin aniyatuhuma wa ma fihima wa ma bayna al-qawmi wa bayna an yanzuru ila rabbihim illa rida'ul kibriyai ala wajhihi fi jannati adn. Which means two gardens, their pots and whatever is in them are made of gold. And two gardens, their pots and whatever in them are made of silver. That's why Muslims are not encouraged, are actually not allowed to use golden utensils and silver utensils. These are reserved for the next world, for those people who are believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only the veil of pride of Allah's face separates the people from gazing at Him in the Garden of Eden. So they are not able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He also narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Innal mu'minina fil jannati la khaymatam min lu'lu atin wahidatin mujawwafah طولها 60 ميلا في السماء للمؤمنين فيها أهلون يطوف عليهم لا يرى بعضهم بعضا. But the believer in paradise is a tent like a hollow pearl, which is 60 miles high in the sky. In the tent, the believer will have so large a family that he visits them all, and some of them would not be able to see the others. So it's just big, big, huge places, tens of pearls, right? And they visit each other. And there's so many of them who are blessed with Jannah. It is recorded in the two Sahihs that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Man amana billahi wa rasulihi wa aqama as-salata wa sama ramadana fa inna haqqan 'ala Allahi ay yudkhilahu al-jannata hajara fi sabilillah aw jalasa fi ardihi allati wulida fiha. All right, so here we have Allah says, whoever believes in Allah and His Messenger, first of all must believe in Allah and His Messenger. And then offer salat perfectly, right? And then fast in the month of Ramadan. He will rightly be granted paradise by Allah. No matter whether he immigrates in Allah's cause or remains in the land where he is born. Right? So even if you do not move out of your land, right, you will be rewarded with Allah, by a garden, granted paradise. Why? Because you believe in Allah, you believe in the Rasul, and you pray, and you do your salat, and you fast in the month of Ramadan. قالوا يا رسول الله أفلا نخبر الناس. Because, Ya Rasulullah, shall we acquaint the people with this good news? Should we tell them of this good news? Akhbar means tell them. Nakhbara. Qala inna fil jannati mi'ata darajatin a'addaha Allahu lil mujahidina fi sabilihi. Baina kulli darajataini kama baina as-sama'i wal ard. فَإِذَا سَأَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ فَاسْأَلُوهُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ فَإِنَّهُ أَعْلَى الْجَنَّةِ وَأَوْسَطُ الْجَنَّةِ وَمِنْهُ تَفَجَّرُ أَنْهَارُ الْجَنَّةِ وَفَوْقَهُ عَرْشُ الرَّحْمَنِ. He said, paradise has 100 grades, which Allah has prepared for the mujahideen who fight in His cause. The distance between each two grades is like the distance to the heaven and the earth. So when you ask Allah, ask Him for Al-Firdaus, which is the best and highest part of paradise. From it gushes forth the rivers of paradise, and above it is the Arash of the beneficial. So that's it, Firdaus. We are encouraged to ask for the best. So we are people who strive for excellence, who strive for the best. We do not want lesser than the best. So Rasulullah himself has encouraged us to strive for the best. Imam Ahmad radiallahu anhu recorded that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Idza sallaytum alayya fasalullaha liyal wasilah." If you invoke Allah for salah, that means if you say salawat on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you send salutations on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then also invoke him to grant me al-wasilah. Here Rasulullah SAW is telling us, if we send salutations to Rasulullah SAW. Salutations mean to pray, and the word salah is the same salah as praying. Salah here, salah is sending salutations on Allah to bless Rasulullah SAW. So if you do that, and ask Allah to give him wasila. Wasila is a station in which he can intercede for us. Qila ya Rasulullah wa mal wasila. And it is said, Ya Rasulullah, what is wasila? He was asked, what is al-wasila, Ya Rasulullah? Qala a'la darajatin fil jannati la yanaluha illa rajulun wahidun wa arju an akuna anahu. He said the highest grade in paradise, it will be for the only one man, and I hope I am that man. So Rasulullah wants to be in the highest Jannah. When we recite, when we finish, when we hear the azan, right? It is the moment we ask Allah for wasila. And those who ask Allah to give Rasulullah that wasila, the position, the highest position in Jannah. And whoever makes that dua after azan, inshallah, they will be interceded. Rasulullah will be intercede for them and ask Allah to forgive their sins and admit them into Jannah. Amin. Our dua after salat, Allahumma rabba hadhihi da'wati tamma was-salati al-qa'ima ati sayyidina Muhammadanil wasilata wal fadilah. Wasila. Sorry, wasila. Ask for the wasila. The Musnad contains a hadith from Sa'ad bin Mujahid at-Ta'i that Abu al-Mudilla said that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, we said, Ya Rasulullah, talk to us about paradise. What is it built of? Rasulullah said, Libanatu dhahabu wa libanatu fiddah wa milatu hal misku wa hasba'uha lu'lu'u wal yakut wa turabuha za'faran. Man yadkhuluha yan'amu la yab'asu wa yakhludu la yamut la tabla thiyabuhu wa la yafna shababuh. A brick of gold and a brick of silver is mortar, is from mass, is gravel, is pearl and rubies, its sand is saffron. Whoever enters it will enjoy the delights, will never be hopeless, and will live forever and will not die. His clothes will never decay, nor will his youth ever end. Is Jannah described by Rasulullah. We can never imagine it, right? Because these are among the those which are mutashabihat. Yeah, we are told that the bricks of the houses will be made of gold and silver. We can't imagine that. Its mortar is from Mars, that kind of soil, and then the soil is pearls and rubies, and it's saffron. It's really beautiful description. But as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, what is described is nothing compared to the real Jannah. So it's going to be among the things that you're going to see, right? Because in description, we can't describe beyond what we can perceive. So whatever description we have is of what we understand and know. So it tries to make it beautiful by explaining, but in reality, it's much more beautiful than what you can ever imagine. Whoever enters it will enjoy the delights, will never be hopeless, and will live forever and will not die. His clothes will never decay, nor will his youth ever end. وَرَضْوَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ, and the pleasure from Allah is greatest. Allah's pleasure is more grand, greater, and better than the delight of the believers will be enjoying in paradise. You seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Radwan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Malik narrated that Zaid bin Aslam said that Ata bin Yasar said that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said that Rasulullah said, Inna Allah Azza wa Jalla yaqulu li ahli al-Jannah, Ya ahli al-Jannah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah, the exalted and ever high, will say to the people of paradise, O residents of paradise, O ya ahl al-jannah, فيقولون and لبيك ربنا وسعديك والخير في يديك. They will say, Labbaik, here we are, our Rabb, and Sa'da, and Sa'daik. We are happy at your service, and all the good is your hands, or is in your hands. فَيَقُولُ هَلْ رَضِيتُمْ? He will ask, are you pleased? فَيَقُولُونَ وَمَا لَنَا لَا نَرْضَى يَا رَبِّي وَقَدْ أَعْطَيْتَنَا مَا لَمْ تُعْطِ أَحَدًا مِنْ خَلْقِكَ. They will say, why should not we be pleased? Ya Rab, while you have given us what you have not given any other of your creation. فَيَقُولُ أَلَا أَعْطِيكُمْ أَفْضَلَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. He will say, should I give you what is better than all this? فَيَقُولُونَ يَا رَبِّي وَأَيُّ شَيْءٍ أَفْضَلُ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. He will ask, Ya Rab, what is better than all this? فَيَقُولُ أُهِلُّ عَلَيْكُمْ رَضْوَانِي فَلَا أَسْخَطُ عَلَيْكُمْ بَعْدَهُ أَبَدًا. He will say, I will grant you my pleasure and will never afterwards be angry with you. Two Sahihs collected a hadith of mine. So this is a hadith, right? It reminds us of the great joys that you're going to have, inshallah. We continue to be believers, that as die as believers, inshallah, with taqwa, iman, happiness. ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. And Allah described that it is the grand achievement, a supreme achievement, right? To achieve these great things, we have the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ridwan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the supreme success. This is the main goal of any believer who has settled the love of Allah in his heart and has considered climbing towards, and has considerably climbed towards the climax of the recognition of Allah. It means they have reached a far station that they are there to they recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They know who Allah is. As opposed to those who use worldly achievements as a measure of success, the real and ultimate success is the success in the hereafter. And if Muslims practice their deen as it should be practiced, they attain the supreme success, the glimpses of which have been described here. Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, O the Prophet, jahidi, struggle, al-kuffar, against the disbelievers, wal munafiqeen, and the hypocrites, waghlub, and discern, alayhim, on them, wa ma'wahum, and their abode, Jahannam, hell. Wa bi'sal masir, and is evil the destination. So you have Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, so Allah Rasulullah is being called here. Jahidi is an instruction, it's supposed to be jahid, but because of the continuation with al-kufra, kuffar, right? So they have a kasrah here. As we are aware, fi'il do not have kasrah, it has a sukun. Jahid especially is fi'il amr here. The fight against the kuffar. Kuffar are those who arrogantly disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fight against any of the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The kuffar and the munafiqeen, so they are the ones to be fought against. This is nasab and this is nasab. Waghlub, and disturn, alayhim, on them. Wa ma'wahum, and their abode. Ma'wa is abode, a place of security, right? But this is in sarcasm because Jahannam is not going to be a place of security. But this is where they will be. وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ, and evil is the destination. O Prophet, strive hard against the disbelievers and the hypocrites and be unyielding to them. And their abode is hell, and evil is the destination. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls on his Prophet, Ya ayyuhan nabi, not alladhina amanu, but Nabi. Jahid, fight, struggle against the kuffar, wal munafiqeen, and the hypocrites. Allah is given this instruction after Tabuk expedition. Ibn Mas'ud commented on Allah's messenger, Jahidil kuffara wal munafiqeen, with a hand, or at least have a stern face with them. That means this is the way we, our Rasulullah is instructed how to manage them, how to handle them, is to either punish them or fight with them, fight against them, punish them. Means to struggle against them. Do not allow our affinity for them or our relationship with them cause us not to be stern, because it's instruction to Rasulullah. Of course, it goes on to the believers also. Jahidil kuffara wal munafiqeen. Ibn Abbas said Allah commanded Rasulullah to fight the disbelievers with the sword, to strive against the hypocrites with the tongue, and annulled lenient treatment of them. So here what we do understand is that the disbelievers we are asked to fight against the disbelievers. Remember, this is not a ruling forever, right? It is during the Prophet's time. The Prophet is called on with the sword to strive against the hypocrites with the tongue. That means to try to rationalize with them, to follow the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to work against the hypocrites and annul lenient treatment of them. Rasulullah used to be lenient to them, and they were living together in Medina. They were given protection, but now no more. No more being nice to them, be firm, and tell them the truth about Islam. Ad-Dahak commented, perform jihad against the disbelievers with a sword and be harsh with the hypocrites with words. And this is the jihad performed against them. So here is quite obvious, right, that the Muslims are asked to fight against the disbelievers and the ya ayyuhal nabiyyu jahidil kuffara wal munafiqin. The kuffar, the disbelievers, and the munafiqin. We're supposed to fight them, right? Kuffara wal munafiqin. So to fight the kuffar and the munafiqin. Al-Hasan and Qatada said, striving against them includes establishing the Islamic penal law of equality against them. So they were living in the midst of the Muslims. They were living in Medina, and they were under the charter that was written out by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was laid up by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this too, like, since striving against them includes establishing the law of equality against them. What it means is that even if they are non-believers and hypocrites, we must still be fair to them. That means we must do things which is right for the two groups of people. They must follow the laws of Islam. In combining these statements, we could say that Allah causes punishment of the disbelievers and hypocrites with all these methods in various conditions and situations. Allah knows best. All right, Allah causes punishment of the disbelievers and hypocrites with all these methods in various conditions and situations. That means we are not going to be kind to them anymore. We are going to be firm and fight them wherever we find them. This ayah also comes in Surah Tahrim, not Tahrim, Tahrim. Surah Tahrim. So we have the same verse in Surah Taubah and Surah Tahrim. But Surah Tahrim was not in the context of battle, which is why ayah 73 is important, because in this ayah, the word jihad is being used without referring to battle, because Rasulullah SAW never fought the hypocrites. But nonetheless, he did physically struggle against them in terms of ungrouping them, dismantling rumors, demolishing a masjid, etc. So they were doing bad. So eventually Rasulullah SAW used to be kind to them, and to try to win over their hearts. But eventually, when they have reached, when they have been overboard, they have just been, they have transgressed all bounds, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to be firm with them. No more good treatment for them. They've done enough to spread rumors. This is also a form of jihad. So it's mentioned here that this surah is not is instruction, this verse is instructed after the fights, right? So the Prophet never ever fought against the hypocrites, right? So jihad does not only mean fighting, but also other forms of struggling against the soul and others. Therefore, jihad cannot be only equated to fighting. When Rasulullah was coming back from Tabuk, when the enemy didn't show up, he said that they had come back from the smallest jihad to the biggest jihad. And the biggest jihad is to fight against the desires. Interesting thing is that the possible struggle for Tabuk was potentially the greatest of all challenges in the Sirah. Possible struggle for Tabuk was potentially the greatest of all. So Tabuk is where they were supposed to fight. We have gone through the battle of Tabuk, right? Where they were supposed to fight the Romans, which eventually did not turn out. So it's a very, very powerful struggle in Tabuk, but one of the greatest challenges in the history of Rasulullah. Some say that it means that they have come back from the jihad of fighting to the jihad of the nafs. Others weren't satisfied, even though there is a hadith like that. This can be looked at without correlation and as independent objects, because Rasulullah said something to one person on one occasion and something to another person in another occasion. Right? Because Rasulullah is given some wisdom, and he knows the people very well, so different people get different advice. Right? So we put it as that it is a jihad. Struggling against Islam. So it would be an oversimplification to say the hadith is to be understood in this way. Therefore, jihad cannot be only equal to fighting. When Rasulullah come back from, sorry, let me read this. All right. So it would be an oversimplification to say that the hadith is to be understood in this way. The counter opinion is that jihad against Islam is always going to be there. But there is another enemy when they were coming to Medina, and that is the hypocrites who were harder to deal with. So Allah is telling that you have to be tough against the enemies comprising of the hypocrites and the disbelievers. But the way in which you will engage in the jihad will be different, and this will be tougher. Be firm against them. So this is what is the jihad that is expected against the hypocrites. Is that we should, right, those people who are instructed to be stern against them. But be tough against them. Ghaliz means tough or stern. In Old Arabic, the closest term would be insensitive. So it's also used for angels in hell. That means they have no feelings. When you have to understand this, Muslims, right, are dealing with people whom they are close with too, right? These believers, some of them are uncles and cousins. The hypocrites also some of our uncles and cousins, right? And so it's not easy to actually fight them because they are family, and also there is a sensitive issue here. So it's considered as the angels. That you don't have when you are doing for Allah, you shouldn't have your emotions come in the way to stop you from moving on in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Insensitive means you remove all emotional senses in you so that you can fight for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as the hypocrites have not initiated war and have not plotted against Islam, similar to the non-believers, holy struggle against them should be done only by tongue. Before the revelation of this verse, Rasulullah treated the hypocrites gently and nobly. But after this, he was strict and firm. Thus, Rasulullah, who is a source of mercy, is commissioned to severity because of infidelity, and hypocrisy of the enemies of Islam. The command initiated the change of policy towards the hypocrites. So here we see a shift, right, from being kind to the hypocrites to a state where they are going to be you're going to be harsh against them. No more chances for them. After this time, leniency was being shown to them for two reasons. First, the Muslims had not as yet become so powerful as to take the risk of an internal conflict in addition to the one with the external enemy. So there is a reason why initially they were lenient. Allah instructs the believers to be lenient to the disbelievers initially, before the wars, right? It's because the Muslims has not as yet become so powerful as to take the risk of an internal conflict in addition to the one with the external enemies. Right, they cannot have that situation where there is an internal conflict. What internal conflict is being mentioned here is because among the Muslims, right, those who go to war, also we are aware that the hypocrites, some of them would actually join. Right, the joining is of course sometimes cause more detriment than not joining, because they actually try to instigate the people against Rasulullah. So they were actually creating conflict. So we cannot have this internal conflict. And so initially we can't have that because we are fighting against the enemies. The other reason was to give thorough respite to those people who were involved in doubts and suspicions so that they could get sufficient time for attaining to faith and belief. So some of them are hypocrites, but more because they follow others. They're not because they are evil or bad. And with the dua given to them, right, they were taught. So among the Arabs, when Rasulullah migrated to Medina, some of the Arabs were still doubtful of Rasulullah, had suspicion of him wanting to lead, to be a leader and such. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala initially instructed Rasulullah to be kind to them, right, to help them through, to give them time to have faith and to believe. But now the time has come for a change of policy. The whole of Arabia had been subdued, and a bitter conflict with the external enemies was about to start. Therefore, it was required that these internal enemies should be crushed down so that they should not be able to be able to conspire with the external enemies to stir up any internal danger to the Muslims. All right, so here, in the situation here, in this part of the Quran, right, is after Tabuk, so that means the whole of Arabia was under the Muslims. A bitter conflict with the external enemies was about to start. So moving forth, right, there will be fights with the external enemies. Therefore, it was required that these internal enemies should be crushed down so that they should not be able to conspire with the external enemies to stir up any internal danger to them. So that's the reason. If the internal enemies are still there, the internal enemies can plan and plot with the external enemies. So not a very good state to be in. And now it had become possible to crush them. Right, so at that time, it is not wise before this for the Muslim community to fight against the hypocrites, but now it is. As regards second reason, that these hypocrites have been given respite for a period of 9 years to observe, to consider and test the right way, and they could have availed of it if they had any good in them. So there was no reason why any more leniency should be shown to them. We have been kind to them, they are not receptive of the kindness, then we move on. We are asked to be strict against them. Therefore, Allah enjoined the Muslims to treat the hypocrites on one and the same level with disbelievers. We fight against the disbelievers, if we can isolate them, or with the hypocrites maybe come together in a village or whatever, we can fight against them. And start jihad against them and to give up the policy of leniency they had adopted towards them and adopt a firm and stern policy instead. However, this verse doesn't enjoin the Muslims to fight the hypocrites. It merely meant to end the policy of leniency that had hitherto been adopted towards them. This verse enjoined that they were no more to be considered a part and parcel of the Muslim community, nor were they to be allowed to take part in the management of these affairs, nor consulted about any matters that they might not be able to spread the poison of the prophets. So, as mentioned, this is strongly against the poor hypocrites and the Muslims. The hypocrites, sorry, and the disbelievers. So they were not allowed to manage affairs, they were not to be consulted, right? And they were not able to spread the poison of hypocrisy. This change policy required that the true believers should expel all those who adopted a hypocritical attitude and conduct and showed in any way that they were not sincere allies to Allah, His Messenger, and His true Muslims. So the Muslims must expose the hypocrites, right? And each and every one of such hypocrites should be openly criticized and reproved so that there should remain for them no more place of honor, trust in the Muslims. They should be socially boycotted and kept away from the evidence. The courts of law should be regarded as untruthful. So they cannot give evidence because they are hypocrites, liars, so not allowed. Doors of the offices and positions of trust should be closed against them, and they should be held in the contempt in the social media. Besides this, if any one of them was found to be guilty of treachery, there should be no connivance at his crime, nor should he be pardoned, but openly tried in the court of law and should be duly punished. So these are all situations that would have occurred, right? Why? What is this? Visiting. Any one of them was found to be guilty of treachery. That means they have been traitors, right? There is no such thing as trying to mellow things down. He will be pardoned. He should not be pardoned, and openly tried in the court of law and should be duly punished. This command was urgently needed at the time it came. It was obvious that in order to save the Muslim community from fall and degradation, it was essential to purge it of all the internal galaxy dangers to its solidarity, because a community which nourishes hypocrites and traitors and allows the external enemies to flourish with honor and security will inevitably be doomed to moral degradation and ultimate destruction. So if you allow evil to spread, then it will be difficult, right? So we are asked to be prepared, right, against elements that might be unhappy of different types of games of children. Sorry. Which nourishes hypocrites and traitors and allows the internal enemies to flourish with honor and security. So we should not honor them anymore. We should not allow their lives to be secure, right? Because they will eventually be doomed to moral degradation and ultimate destruction. Hypocrisy is a plague, and a plague is the rat, and the plague is a rat that carries and spreads its germs. Therefore, to allow him freedom of movement in the society is to expose the whole population to the danger of hypocrisy. right? By allowing the hypocrites to be in society, to be part of society, even to be in the shura, then you are exposing the others to the dangers of hypocrisy. Likewise, to give a place of honor and prestige to a hypocrite is to encourage many others in hypocrisy and treachery. But this shows that it is not sincerity, true faith, and his welfare that count away. We should not honor them. We should not give them high acknowledgement because they are hypocrites. One may flourish and prosper in it even if one verbally professes to be a Muslim but at the same time indulges in dishonesty and treachery. Rasulullah expressed the same thing in a forceful saying. He said, whoso honors and respects the inventor of any practices which are un-Islamic, in it helps to demolish the very structure of Islam. All right, so that is honoring those who are doing evil. The Taufik and his whoever honors and respects the inventor of a new practice, because the hypocrites tend to invent practices that they attribute to Rasulullah and they make it good, right? But they are un-Islamic. So we need to demolish the structure of Islam. Indeed, it helps to demolish. So whoever honors these people who are not obedient slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then right, so those who started something, they are actually destroying the structure of Islam. Ma'wahum jahannam, and their home is Jahannam. So these are the people who will go to hellfire. The hypocrites, the disbelievers, right? Be firm on them, because eventually they will enter Jahannam. This is their fate. They are those who seek refuge in hell. If definitely this is a sarcasm. So this Ma'wahum, as mentioned, is a place of refuge, a place of security. So their security is in hell. Of course, it's sarcasm. The actions made them entitled to be in hell. Bi'sal masir, and an evil destination. Bi'sa is terrible evil, inshallah. An evil destination. We are on a journey, and the next world is our destination. These people will return to a tribal place. Evil is their destination. That's how it is for those people who disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the hypocrites especially. So we are to fight against the hypocrites. Yahalifuna billahi, they swear by Allah. Halafa means also swear. Yahalifuna billahi ma qalu, not they said. So that means they swore by Allah, not they said. Walakad, and surely qalu kalimat al kufra. يحلفون بالله ما قالوا ولقد قالوا كلمة الكفر وكفروا بعد إسلامهم. They swear by Allah, not they said, and surely they said the word of disbelief, and they disbelieved after their submission. Wahammu, and they planned bima, with what lam not yanalu, they attained, wama naqamu, and what they were resentful, and not they were resentful. Illa an aghnahumul, except that enrich them Allah. Aghnahum, enrich them. Aghni is to be rich. Aghna is past tense. Aghnahumullah. Wahammu bima lam yanalu wa ma naqamu illa an aghnahumullah. So these are the ones whom Allah enriched them. Wa rasuluhu, and his rasuls, min fadlihi, from his bounty. Fa iyatubu yaku khairan lahum, and if they repent, then if they repent, it be better for them. وَإِن يَتَوَلَّوْا, and if they turn away, يُعَذِّبْهُمْ يُعَذِّبْهُمُ Allah, punishes them Allah. وَلَا نَصِيرٍ وَمَا لَهُم مِّن فِي الْأَرْضِ, and not for them in the earth any guardian nor any helper. That's the verse 74, another long verse. They swear by Allah that they do not speak, and certainly they did speak. They didn't say the word of unbelief and disbelieved after their Islam, and they had determined upon what they had not been able to effect, and they did not find fault except because Allah and His Messenger enriched them out of His grace. Therefore, if they repeat, it will be good for them. If they turn back, Allah will chastise them with a painful chastisement in this world and hereafter. And they shall not have in this land any guardian or Yahlifuna billahi ma qalu. They swore by Allah what they said. Al-Amawi said in his book on battles, Muhammad bin Ishaq narrated that Al-Zuhri said that Abdul Rahman bin Abdullah bin Ka'ab bin Malik narrated from his father that he said, among the hypocrites who lagged behind from battle and concerning whom the Quran was revealed, narrated that Az-Zuhri said that Abdul Rahman bin Abdullah bin Ka'ab bin Malik narrated from his father and from his grandfather. He said, among the hypocrites who lagged behind from battle and concerning whom the Quran was revealed was Al-Julas bin Suwaid bin As-Samit, who was married to the mother of Omar bin Sa'ad. Omar was under the care of Al-Julas. Right, so here's a reflection on what is being said here. So we have the incident with Al-Julas bin Suwaid. When the Quran was revealed about the hypocrites exposing their practices, Al-Julai said, by Allah, if this man is saying the truth, then we are worse than monkeys. So he is making fun of the Muslims. Umar bin Sa'ad heard him and said, by Allah, O Julas, you are the dearest person to me, as the most favor on me, and I will hate that harm would touch you more than I do concerning anyone. So this is the response of the child, of the man, right, against the Julas. All right, so if you added a statement, so the son was true Muslim and is not happy with the way Julas has said. What Julas has said. One of them is lesser evil than the other. So he says that he needs to, if he doesn't expose, then he will expose. His this one is Omar bin Sa'id, right? Wasn't happy with what his father has said, and he says that he can expose them, and he will expose them, but he will ask us to hide him. Oh, sorry. The man is saying that he knows that the father was what the father said has put him in the category of hypocrisy. So he says if he exposed the father, and he will expose the father, but if he hides, he will destroy him. So if he exposes, then the father will be sentenced. If he hides, he will destroy him. He says one of them is lesser evil than the other. So Umar went to Rasulullah and told him what Al-Jullah said. So Umar decided that he should inform Rasulullah, because if he doesn't inform, then it will be difficult for him. On realizing this, Al-Julas went to Rasulullah and swore by Allah that he did not say what Umar bin Sa'ad conveyed. He said, he lied on me, Al-Julas. So Allah sent in this case, this verse. So Umar went to see Rasulullah and told him what Al-Julas said. On realizing this, Al-Julas went to Rasulullah and swore by Allah that he did not say what Umar bin Sa'ad conveyed. He said he lied on me, Al-Julas said. Allah sent in this case this verse. So this verse, those people who have said wrong things and swear that they didn't say. Right. وَلَقَدْ قَالُوا كَلِمَةَ الْكُفْرِ. And surely they said words of disbelief. So whatever they said has amount to disbelief, to make fun of the message that is in the of Rasulullah. وَلَقَدْ قَالُوا كَلِمَةَ الْكُفْرِ. It has been cited that when Rasulullah was speaking to the audience in Tabuk, a hypocrite by the name of Halas uttered a blasphemous, ugly word. One of the Prophet's companions, Amr bin Qais, informed that insolence to Rasulullah, that rudeness. He summoned Halas, but he denied the matter. Amr said that it was a lie and repeated that word. So Amr repeated what was said by Halas, which amounts to disbelief. Then, by the command of Rasulullah, both of them went near the pulpit of the mosque and swore. Amr asked Allah to send down a verse. So this verse came down to explain to people, right? They say things which might amount to disbelief. وَلَقَدْ قَالُوا كَلِمَةَ الْكُفْرِ. Another tradition relates that when during the expedition to Tabuk, one of the she camels of Rasulullah went astray, and the Muslims are moving about in search of it. The party of the hypocrites made a good deal of fun of this, saying to one another, just consider the prophethood of this man. He tells news of heavens, but cannot tell where his she camel is. So that is again a moment which they said rude things of Rasulullah concerning his camel and loss of the camel, that he's a prophet and yet he can lose his camel. The statement this verse refers to can be any of the myriad words of disbelief the hypocrites used to utter, including derision of the Prophet. They make fun of the Prophet. So that was disbelief, Islamic teachings, and the Muslims' passion for serving Allah. So that is jihad. وَكَفَرُوا بَعْدَ إِسْلَامِهِ. This words indicated that they are in disbelief after proclaiming. They are in disbelief after proclaiming belief. They say Muslims, but they disbelieve. Wahammu, they plotted bima lam yanalu, with what they cannot reach. They plotted with what they cannot reach. And the example is their plot to kill Rasulullah on his way from Tabuk, when about 12 of them hiding their faces came to cause an accident to throw him off a very narrow pass into a deep ditch. So this is a plot was to kill Rasulullah. Rasulullah has found out about the plot beforehand and had taken measures to encounter them. Thus, when they came to execute the plot and were confronted, they ran away, or else their doctrines, their entities were exposed. But Rasulullah knew who they were and confided their names to Huzaifa ibn Yaman. For that reason, Huzaifa was called the keeper of the secret told by Rasulullah. Also, the hypocrites who had stayed at home were expecting a crushing defeat of the Muslims in Tabuk, so they had prepared a plan to enthrone Abdullah bin Ubay as their king as soon as the news of defeat was received. So there was right. So this is they were hoping that the Muslims would actually lose because they were fighting the powerful Romans, and we are. So they were planning to make Abdullah ibn Ubay also a hypocrite king. as soon as the news of defeat arrived. In short, they never let a challenging time pass without plotting against Rasulullah and the Muslims. However, Allah ensured that none of their plots were succeeded. وَمَا نَقَمُوا إِلَّا أَنْ أَغْنَاهُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, and not resent except that Allah enriched them and His Rasul from His bounty. The irony was that these hypocrites were the greatest beneficiaries of the establishment of the Islamic polity and the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For the advent of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Medina used to be a small town called Yathrib, inhabited mostly by farmers with a very low standard of living. Within 9 years of his arrival, it became the capital of an ever-expanding polity and a hub of economic activity with revenues coming from all over the world. Sincere Muslims are preoccupied with the missionary demands and duties and were also spending freely in the way of Allah. The hypocrites had a great opportunity to benefit from those economic opportunities while not spending much in the way of Allah. So this is the reality. Muslims were really fighting hard. In addition, Rasulullah used to give them more gifts than the sincere Muslims, so that if they had any goodness in their hearts, the gesture of kindness of Rasulullah might open their hearts to adopt sincerity. All these opportunities have made them quite rich. So they were quite rich, but they were still envious, very grudging against what the Muslims have. Instead of appreciating the big benefits they received, they continued to bite the hand that fed them. This referred to the prosperity of Al-Madinah and its people. For Al-Madinah was a small town before the migration of Rasulullah to it and its two clans, Aus and Hazraj, did not hold any high position in regard to wealth or prestige. Within a short period of 9 years or so, this small town became the capital of Arabia because of the residents of the Prophet and the practices of the people living in Medina. As a result of this, the former peasants, Aus and Khazraj of the Al-Madinah, became the first great ones of the Islamic State, and wealth began to follow into this central city on account of spoils of war. The hypocrites were rebuked in this verse that instead of being grateful to Allah, Rasulullah, they should anger and spite against him, and no other sin that he had brought forth prosperity among them. That if they return or they taubat, they repent, yaku, it be better for them. So if they have done a lot here, they have plotted against Rasulullah, they have sworn by the name of Allah, right, and went against what they have promised in Jannat, right? And if they yatubu, yaku, if they repent to you, it's better for them. If the hypocrites repent and really embrace Islam, better for them. Allah will forgive them. This why whatever they did, Allah is giving them a chance to repent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think in another verse, previous verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew exactly those hypocrites who tend to follow others and not really that bad. So sometimes they do wrong and they seek forgiveness, Allah will forgive them. Allah says it's better for them to repent. But if they turn, yu'adhibuhumullah, Allah will punish them. Adhaban alima, a terrible, painful punishment, fi dunya wal akhirah, in this world and the next world. If they persist on their ways, Allah will inflict a painful torment on them in this life by killing, sadness, and depression in the hereafter with common punishment, disgrace, and humiliation. وَمَا لَهُمْ, and not for them, fil ardi, on the earth, min waliyin, any guardian, and not help. No guardian, no help. They are reminded that none can protect them from the punishment of Allah subhanahu. So none can help them against the wrath of Allah subhanahu. Wali is to protect them from all difficulties. Right? Protect. One is protection. Right? Guard them so that they are protected from all difficulties. And they should know that there's no wali. And also nasir is to help them when they get into difficulty. They have incurred a wrath by their actions. Aminhum, and among them, man ahada Allahu la in atana min fadlihi lanasaddaqanna wa lanakunanna min as-salihin. And among them, minhum, among man, one who says ahada, he covenanted, that means he made a covenant with Allah. La in, surely if atana, he gave us, ata is to give, he gave, na is us, he gave us, min fadlihi, of his bounty, lanasaddaqanna, surely we will give alms, walanakunanna, and surely we will be min as-salihin, of the righteous. Minhum man ahad Allah, they made a covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that if Allah gives them the wealth, they would min fadlihi la nasaddaqanna, they will surely sadaqah. Wa la nakunanna, and surely they will be min as-salihin, of the salih, of the righteous ones, those who do things to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of the hypocrites made a covenant with Allah and then they broke it. It has also been said that the verse has been revealed concerning Tha'laba bin Hatta, who was a poor man. He asked Rasulullah that they should pray for him to be rich. He said if he become rich, he would remit considerably in the way of Allah, and he would become one of the benevolent persons. Rasulullah prayed for him, and he became rich enough, but he stinted. So it's a reality. Once you become, when you are poor, maybe you can give $1. But when you are rich, $1 is so difficult. Whereas being poor means less. You don't have that much money as your friends want. So this one become rich, Sa'laba become very rich. He become stingy. He also did not participated in Friday prayers. And thereupon he made his hypocrisy manifest. Whatever the sign of the revelation of this verse might be, however, it is about some persons who have always existed and are existed and are still existing in the society. When such people have got wealth and facilities, they may make covenant with Allah that if Allah restart them their properties and they become rich, they will pay in charity in this way and will become righteous and of the good slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they often do not do that when He causes them to be wealthy. Falamma, then when atahum, he gave them min fadlihi, of his bounty, bakhilu, they became stingy. Bihi, in it. Watawallaw, and they turned away. Wahum, and they mu'radun, those who evade. When he gave them out of his grace, they got stingy of it, and they turned back and they withdrew. Right? They move away. Falamma atahum min fadlihi bakhilu bihi. So Allah gives them, they ask Rasulullah to make them rich, promising to help the poor when they are rich. Rasulullah says that when falamma atahum, gave them min fadlihi yakhiluni. So these hypocrites pledged solemnly to Allah that if He would bestow His grace on them and give them some of His bounty, they would be very charitable to the poor and behave in a way expected of His people. So they need to show that they can do lots of amal saleh and also sadaqah. Such a pledge, however, is given at a time when those people are poor, when their poverty makes them yearn for a time of plenty. That if Allah answers their prayers and favors them with His bounty, they forget all about their pledges and behave like misers. وَتَوَلَّوْا وَهُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ. And they turn away, and they are those who lag behind. Turn away unwillingly to honor their pledges. This is what they have said. They don't want to actually know what has been said. وَتَوَلَّوْا وَهُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ. So they turn back. فَأَعْقَبَهُمْ. Then He attributed them for aqiba. Aqiba is like aqibat is a consequence. But this is past tense. Aqaba. فَأَعْقَبَهُمْ. Nifaqan, hypocrisy. So He made them become hypocrites. في قلوبهم, in their hearts. So the hypocrisy is planted in their hearts. إلى يوم يلقونه, to a day of the فأعقبهم نفاقا في قلوبهم إلى يوم يلقونه وبما كانوا يكذبون. So Allah says they will be hypocrisy will be in their hearts until the day they meet Him, and because they were lying, they were lying. So He made hypocrisy to follow as a consequence into their hearts to the day when they shall meet Him, because they failed to perform towards Allah what they had promised with Him, and because they told. So these are those who promised to do good if they were given lots. فَأَعْقَبَهُمْ نِفَاقًا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ إِلَى يَوْمِ يَلْقَوْنَهُ بِمَا أَخْلَفُوا اللَّهَ مَا وَعَدُهُ. I think there's something missing here. There's a verse missing. بِمَا خَلَفُوا اللَّهَ مَا وَعَدُهُ. I think we'll stop here. All right, we'll continue next lesson. I'll make some corrections to the slides here. اللهم ارحمنا بالقرآن واجعله لنا إماما وهدى ورحمة. اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار واجعله لنا حجة يا رب العالمين. اللهم استودعك ما علمتني فردده إلي وقت حاجاتي إليه فلا تنسيني يا رب العالمين. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbana anfa'na bima 'allamtana. Rabbi 'allimna alladhi yanfa'una. Rabbi faqihna faqih ahlana
وكرامة لنا في
dinina
ديننا
ma'a ahli al-qutri unsa wa dhakar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa 'asri insana lafi khusr ila allazina amanu wa 'amilus solihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.